Welcome back, everyone, to the FitBiz Podcast. Jordan here, your co-host, and what I'm going to talk about today is a part of our ridiculously dumb stuff that trainers do, and this also applies to really any health fitness coach who's trying to start an online business and doing it in a way that avoids dumb stuff and does more smart stuff, therefore helping more people, making more money, creating a business you actually love. That's our whole intent here, especially with this series. And the point that I'm going to cover today is listening to stupid advice. All right. So you might be listening to this now and thinking, well, I listen to advice. I listen to good advice. And maybe that's the case, but a lot of times we don't even realize how early advice in our lives still lingers with us and how it kind of programs our subconscious into how we make certain decisions on a day-to-day basis. So even if you are at a place where you're listening to this and you're saying, oh, I get it. I know I shouldn't listen to dumb advice. I used to do that, maybe don't anymore. I still want you to listen to this because I think you'll recognize where maybe some former advisors in your life have given you really shitty advice that maybe is still sticking with you. All right. So the only thing dumber than people advising on subjects that they know nothing about are the people who listen to that advice. Okay. I'll give you an example in my own story. So growing up, I was told from my father, he always said, just make money and everything will be okay. Or in other words, just make money, everything will work out. He was given that advice from his mother. And at the time, it made sense. I'm like, well, of course. I mean, that seems to be what most people are just chasing. And when you look at life, especially as a kid, you're thinking, okay, all these parents are just worried about money. Well, obviously, if you just make money, then, things will be happy. Like you'll be in a good spot. Everything's fine. And I think if you're listening to this, you probably know that that's not true. All right. So his mom really led her life through that principle. And she ended up just ruined relationships, misery, a lot of just bad stuff. My father kind of led through a life towards that advice as well. And, he's in a good spot now, but most of his life, he just wasn't very happy, even though he did have periods of his life where, he made some money. It's very much up and down, though. We won't get into that. But what I'd realized is it's not just about making money, because if you're making money, you're not doing anything that you certainly deem as useful and fulfilling and that you're actually changing somebody's life or making an impact, then that money is just super fleeting, okay? So that's just one example in my own life. And what that caused me to do is to pursue that. So going through high school, all I thought about was making money. So I was like constantly working odd jobs. I was just doing everything I could to make cash. And then after high school, I pursued college and all that shit simply to try to get a degree that was going to make me the most money. Okay. So then once I got out of college, I did the whole thing, like pursuing corporate America, chasing jobs, only chasing the paycheck. I went from like a $50K a year job to a $70K a year job, then eventually like a $200,000 a year job. By the time I was like 25, I was making like $220,000 a year and I was miserable. And that's when it all hit me. I was like, oh fuck, maybe that was bad advice, right? So I'm sure you probably can relate to that. So think about it like this. Do not listen to advice, right, that is given to you by people who simply have not done what you were trying to do. All right. That should also imply making more money than you, okay, or making the money that you want to make. Because even the advice that I listened to early in my life when it came to money, it wasn't from people who I would trade places with in terms of their financial position. I looked at them as like pretty stable and doing pretty well, but I wanted to do better than that. But the problem was I didn't have anybody around me who I could take advice from who was really crushing it. Now, this was back in like 2000 and, I graduated high school in 2007. So we didn't have podcasts with all these successful people that you could listen to. There was no such thing as online mentorship or courses, any of that stuff, right? So the only advice that I got to take was from my parents or from friends of friends, like a lot of the adults in our community. And I grew up in a really small town, middle-class mindset sort of environment. So if you're listening currently to advice from people in your immediate network, you got to stop and pause and ask yourself, like, are they doing the thing that I want to do? Okay, that also includes, let's just take as an example, a lot of trainers end up taking bad advice from other trainers. Like you're in a gym maybe, and maybe there's like Ted, who's the master trainer in the gym. And he seems like he's crushing it, right? He's driving a Corvette and, he's got all these clients and things look great. But I don't know, you need to ask yourself, is that truly the life that you want? Because if you're, you might get there and you're making like max for a trainer might be $150,000 a year, working your ass off. But is that the kind of life you want? Do you want no freedom? Okay. Otherwise, do you have people in your life who are maybe way further ahead of you who have built the business that you're trying to build? And how do you just take advice from them? Okay. And if you don't have those people in your life, then you have to just do your best to pay to get in the rooms to get that kind of advice. So the main point to this is like anytime somebody tries to give you advice, you can listen to it. There might be a piece of it that can be useful for you, but just don't live and die by that. All right. And think about the advice. And here's really where I want to call you out. Think about the advice that you would give your clients, or better yet, maybe your prospects, people who you know you can help, but they just have that fear of committing and you just can't seem to get through to them. You're giving them free advice. But then you just receive excuse after excuse after excuse, okay? Because most people know what to do, but they don't do it for a lot of reasons. But what would you say to them, right? You might say, hey, do you really want the results? Do you really want to lose this weight or like and create the result that we're talking about here? Do you really want it? Are you really willing to put in the work and effort that's required? Or are you really willing to invest the time and the money to get that result? Are you really willing to be coachable and trainable and achieve these results that you so badly want, right? And that's probably the advice that you would give somebody in the position of you knowing that you can help them, right? You know that they have a goal that they want to achieve in fitness or health, but they're just not willing to do the thing that it takes. Well, what's interesting is this should sound familiar, right? Because this is what you expect from your clients. So why are you not willing to do the same? Oh, I get it, but I need to just do this on my own first, right? I need to just do it on my own. And that's just a ridiculous thought process, because I'll tell you another quick side story. When I left one job when I was like 23 to go to a higher paying job, just chasing the money, I applied for this position as like regional sales director for a Fortune 500 company, Airgas. They were later bought by Air Liquide, which is a $50 billion market cap company. And then I lost my job over that acquisition, long story. But I got hired at this job over several people who were more seasoned and more experienced than me and probably more qualified. And when I asked my boss later on, I was like, why did you choose me over all the other candidates? And he simply said, he's like, you don't have a bunch of bad habits and mistakes that I have to undo. So a lot of times we get coaches into IFCA and they just have not gotten help, or they've gotten the wrong help from shitty mentors. And so we have to kind of rebuild their business versus somebody who maybe, has some expertise. They've got a couple of clients. They really haven't taken that intent to really make this a big priority. And so it's easier in some ways, easier to just build that business from the start. And we don't have to miss out on all this opportunity, right? Like all these low paying clients that we have to figure out what to do with, or restructuring team and compensation packages, or like reallocating your guys' acquisition system and all these things. So oftentimes it's best to just do it right from the beginning, right? Because you want to know the fastest way to be the best coach or trainer or business owner or whatever the goal is, you get a coach, right? We know that for our clients. The fastest way to reach their goals would be to hire you, right? But for some reason, we believe that when it comes to our businesses, we can succeed just by winging it. And trust me, I made those mistakes too. It's just dumb, okay? You could build a business without help, just by trial and error. You could be Googling stuff, or you could maybe just binge listen this podcast, right? And get a lot of good information. But the problem is that you don't truly value your time if that's how you're thinking. What I mean is, by hiring a coach, not just any coach, but a program, a system, a proven framework, okay, you'll dramatically reduce the time that you'll waste consuming the wrong advice, and you'll 10 times the speed of finding the right advice rather than testing whether or not that poor advice works. Like, oh, you should do this to get clients, or here's how you should deliver your programs, or, blah, blah, blah. You don't know if any of that stuff's right. But if you invest in a program that has a ton of track records like us, right? Thousands of case studies and examples and success stories. And don't get me wrong, we haven't always been awesome. Okay. We've been doing this now for almost 6 years. Some of those early years, we were figuring shit out. All right. We weren't always really good, but we are now. So the real question becomes like, do you want everything just A to Z to be at your fingertips? And really that has to do with, do you value your time? All right. Investing in a mentor will speed up the time that you'll spend consuming the wrong information and the time you'll spend trying to find the strategies that are actually right. And then again, testing whether or not those things work. And you can just break past your current income barrier quickly, whether that's 5, 10, 15, 20, or maybe you're trying to get past 50, 100K months. And partnering with us will give you 4 very distinct things. It'll give you speed. It'll give you clarity, less overwhelm and confusion. It'll give you accountability, because we have a high degree of accountability in our program. All right. You have a 3-to-1 support matrix. You have a one-on-one success coach who's done the thing you're trying to do. You have Aaron and I for support. You also have our entire team of expert specialists and coaches, and you have our entire community. Regular check-ins, regular one-on-one calls. We audit your business plan. It's all customized. So like, there's a high degree of like, listen, you have to do your shit. That's why we guarantee our results. We guarantee our results because we track everything. We measure. We know if you're doing the thing or not. Okay. And if you do the thing we tell you to do and you don't get the result, we just keep coaching you for free until you do. Right. And we know that we don't have to do that all that often because most people who do the thing have success. So with us, you pay this one-time tuition fee and you get to use these systems and processes in your business forever. It's a crazy good investment, right? Because when you pay for, imagine being able to learn a system that will allow you to be able to make money for life, regardless of what you decide to do. If you know how to market, or if you know how to create an offer that's valuable and it solves a problem, and you know how to communicate that offer, number one, then if you know how to market that offer effectively to generate leads, then you learn how to close those leads to get sales. And then lastly, you learn how to create a really valuable client experience and how to get great results and create community and just real value when somebody comes into your program. Then you'll retain those clients for long term. All you need are, like, let's say 15 clients paying you $650 a month. That's a $10,000 a month business. Or if you get 30 clients paying you $650 a month, that's a $20,000 a month business. And here's the thing. That's just like front end, okay? With our model, I'm going to tell you something really crazy here. With our model, actually, for those watching on YouTube, I'll just share screen here real quick. So if you look at this chart that I'm showing you, here's how we create retention, and we're able to help our students grow and add between like $100,000 to $200,000 or even $300,000 by signing like 2 to 4 clients a month. It's because we help them create really strong delivery and community value and retention. So let's say you sell a $2,000 front end package for 12 weeks. Then you resell them into a 12-month package that's less per month, but it's a bigger long-term package. So you go from like 2,000, you're like 700 a month down to like 500 a month for 12 on your back end. And we help you, we plug in this back end offer. Then if you sign 2 clients per month, okay, that gives you $120,000 extra per year, just 2 clients a month. And all you need to do is convert half of those clients into your back end. Okay. So you have 50% retention, signing 2 clients a month. If you close, at a 50% sales rate, you need to generate 4 sales calls per month. That's 1 per week. Okay. And if you want to build even bigger than that, like let's say you want to get to $900,000 a year, you only need like 3 or 4 clients a week. All right. Pretty simple. So these are just simple shifts that we do to help our clients be able to create a real long-term sustainable business that doesn't require like constant rabbit chasing and like, I need new clients. All right. So not to go on a diversion there, but what I want to share is this one final thing. If you do need help with any of this, just hit us up. That's what we're here for. We'll hop on a strategy call, and we'll just talk through your business. We'll find out where the constraints are or what you need to do to get your business started and maybe get to a place where working with us is the best next fit. And we'll just help you. And if it's a good idea for us to work together, we'll talk about that too. So anyways, that's all I got for you today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.